My parents faked medical records to pressure me into being a surrogate for my sister. Imagine a world where your own parents would willingly gamble with your life, not for their survival, but to fulfill a selfish desire for your sibling. This is my story, a horrifying betrayal that unfolded after 13 years of cold silence, forcing me to confront their darkest manipulation. 13 years. That's how long it had been since my parents and I had anything more than fleeting, surface-level communication. So when their call came, abrupt and urgent, claiming they needed to discuss something significant, a knot of dread formed in my stomach. My husband, Greg, sensed it too. He knew something was off, but neither of us, not in our wildest nightmares, could have predicted the chilling demand that was about to shatter my peace. From the moment I was born, I was an outsider in my own family. My older sister, Emily, was their perfect princess, their golden apple. Intelligent, athletic, beautiful, seemingly flawless. I, on the other hand, was an unexpected surprise, born prematurely with a severe cardiac issue. My early years were a blur of operations and constant medical care, a burden my parents never let me forget. They'd casually drop comments like, "We could have taken that vacation if we didn't have all these medical bills," or "Emily's college fund would be bigger if we didn't have to deal with your hospital stays." It was a constant, insidious reminder that I was nothing more than a financial drain, even though my loving grandparents covered most of the costs insurance wouldn't touch. The contrast in how they treated us was stark and frankly cruel. My small victories were met with indifference, while Emily's minor accomplishments were celebrated with fanfare and gifts. I remember winning a state-level writing contest in high school, a huge moment for me. But my parents, they couldn't make it. Emily had soccer practice. It wasn't just the big events. It was the everyday slights, the casual disregard that truly hammered home my worthlessness in their eyes. Emily, fully aware of her elevated status, reveled in it. She'd bully me mercilessly, knowing our parents would always take her side. I was 12 when she shoved me down the stairs for accidentally touching her science project. I had a massive bruise on my back for weeks. My mother's response? A dismissive. "You should be more careful around Emily's things." No care for my pain, no retribution for Emily. Just another brutal reminder that I was less valuable than her possessions. School was my only escape, but even that was an uphill battle. My health issues meant missed classes, a constant struggle to maintain mediocre grades. Meanwhile, Emily sailed through with straight A's, dominating every sport she touched. The comparisons were relentless. "Why aren't you more like Emily?" "Emily never struggles." "Emily doesn't cause us this much anxiety." By high school, I'd learned to fade into the background, to survive without feeling like a total failure. Emily was already living the dream life my parents envisioned, while I was simply trying to make it through each day. College was my true turning point. I desperately needed to put as much distance as possible between myself and my family. My grandparents, who had witnessed the toxic dynamic for years, understood and became my greatest allies. They helped me get into a university several states away, covering tuition and expenses. It was there I met Greg. He was everything my family wasn't: patient, compassionate, and genuinely interested in me, not just as a weaker sibling. For the first time, I felt truly seen, appreciated, and acknowledged for who I was. We married after graduation, and I finally believed I could build the loving family life I'd always craved. My parents and Emily? They barely registered my wedding. No card, no attendance. It stung, but I wasn't surprised. Greg's family, especially his mother, embraced me completely, even helping me choose my wedding gown. A cherished dream I'd always imagined sharing with my own mother. A few years into our marriage, we decided to try for a child. My cardiac condition made pregnancy incredibly dangerous, doctors warned, but we wanted to try. The pregnancy was brutal, a constant battle of hospital stays. I nearly died during delivery, but our son was born healthy. The doctors were unequivocal. Another pregnancy would likely kill me. My heart simply couldn't take it. Greg and I were content with our small, precious family, away from the poisonous influence of my birth family. We had each other, our beautiful boy, and a life of quiet peace. My only contact with Emily and my parents was through sporadic phone calls and holiday cards. The separation was healing. Then last week the call came. The one that tore open old wounds and carved new ones. They wanted to talk about something important. Against my better judgment, Greg and I went to their home. We sat in that same living room where I'd been dismissed and mocked countless times throughout my childhood. They handed me an envelope. Inside wasn't a letter, it was a surrogacy agreement. For Emily. She was having infertility issues, and they wanted me to carry her baby. They had already consulted doctors and attorneys, prepared all the documentation, presenting it as a done deal, as if my input, my very life, was irrelevant. I was stunned. They knew. They knew about my heart condition. They knew I'd nearly died giving birth to my own son. They knew another pregnancy could kill me. And they didn't care. All they cared about was giving Emily what she wanted. As I tried to explain that I was physically unable, that doctors had explicitly forbidden it, my mother started to cry. "How can you be so selfish?" she wailed. "Emily has always wanted to be a mother. This is her only chance." My father chimed in, coldly stating that after everything the family had done for me, I owed them. Owed them? What exactly had they done, beyond making me feel unworthy for a lifetime? My grandparents paid my medical bills, the very ones they loved to hold over my head. Greg and his family provided the emotional support I so desperately needed. My parents' only consistent behavior was to tell me I'd never be good enough to be Emily. With my mother's accusation of selfishness ringing in my ears, I stumbled out of their house, tears streaming down my face. Greg was beyond furious, not just at the outrageous request, but at their complete and utter disregard for my life. He looked at me, his eyes blazing, and said, "They have shown beyond a reasonable doubt that they are indifferent to your welfare. You need to stop communicating with them." In my heart, I knew he was right. Their suggestion wasn't just unkind, it was cruel. As always, they wanted me to sacrifice my life, to potentially leave my son motherless, all to give Emily what she desired. But still, the insidious guilt gnawed at me. Was I being selfish? Did I owe them? Was this my opportunity to finally show them my worth? These toxic thoughts, ingrained since childhood, raced through my mind, even as I knew how harmful they were. By the way, if you're still with me, make sure to hit subscribe. More unbelievable stories are coming. Since that day, I haven't returned a single call or message. But Emily has started contacting me too, with manipulative false statements like, "Family helps family," and "I would do this for you if the situation were reversed." I almost laughed. She wouldn't even offer me a ride to school if it was slightly out of her way. My son is always on my mind. If something happened to me during a pregnancy, he would be the one to suffer most. He needs his mother. He is innocent in all of this family drama. How could they expect me to risk leaving him an orphan to satisfy Emily's demands? Am I truly being selfish? My whole life, I've been told I'm wrong for prioritizing my own needs. But this isn't just about me anymore. It's about my son, my husband, and my very life. Yet this crushing guilt continues to torment me. A week has passed, and things have spiraled even further out of control. My phone hasn't stopped vibrating with calls and messages from my family. Emily's texts are nonstop, emotional manipulation at its finest. "This is my last opportunity to have my own child," she'd write. "I've always wanted to be a mother. Remember how I always looked out for you when we were kids?" That last one almost made me laugh out loud. She clearly remembers our childhood very differently than I do. But then, a particularly vicious email arrived yesterday. "Mom was right about you," it read. "You always thought about yourself. I suppose almost dying while pregnant is merely a pretext for not assisting me." That was a gut punch. They weren't treating my near-death experience as a valid medical issue. They were twisting it into proof of my selfishness. My parents were even worse. My mother has been calling any relative who will listen, telling them I'm ruining Emily's sole chance at happiness. She's painting me as some cold-blooded monster refusing to help her dying sister. Emily isn't dying. She just can't conceive naturally. They're acting as if Emily's wish for a biological child is more important than my actual, concrete risk of death. This morning, my father sent a message that truly crossed the line. "You've always been a letdown, but this is a new low. This is your way of repaying us for giving you life by denying your sister the experience of being a mother." I wanted to scream that they didn't really give me life. My grandparents paid for the medical treatment that kept me alive, and they nearly lost me due to carelessness multiple times as a toddler. Greg was enraged. I had to dissuade him from driving to their house and confronting them, though a part of me would have loved to see him tear into them. "They're not worth it," I told him. Instead, we had a long, serious discussion about our future. Greg reminded me, "This isn't just about you anymore. It has to do with our son. He might lose his mother as a result of what they're requesting. Nobody has the authority to force you to take that risk." Of course, he's right. When I look at our son, I feel no remorse for turning Emily down. He needs his mom to be well and alive. We made the decision to act decisively. First, we blocked all of their numbers, Emily's, mom's, dad's, and even the flying monkeys they sent after me. My grandparents are the lone exception. They've always been accepting and encouraging. Second, we're investigating legal safeguards. Greg fears they may try something desperate because of their aggressive behavior. Next week, we're meeting with a lawyer to go over our options. I will always be perplexed by their claim to be family and their utter disregard for my life. But I am over my guilt. I will no longer allow them to control me. My son deserves a mother who would not put her life in danger to appease individuals who have never truly shown her love. Thank you to everyone who commented on my previous post. You made it clear that I'm being a responsible mother and defending my family, not being selfish. Standing up to those who ought to have protected you in the first place is sometimes necessary. I'll provide another update if something noteworthy occurs, but hopefully, this will be the last one. I'm prepared to move on with my true family, my husband and son, who genuinely appreciate my existence. It's been 2 weeks since I blocked everyone. I genuinely thought that was the end of it, but my mother, ever persistent, managed to get in touch using a temporary number. Just the two of us, not Greg. Need to talk, her message read. Every instinct screamed no, but I consented to meet at a nearby cafe. For obvious reasons, I picked a public spot, and Greg was waiting in his car nearby just in case. The moment I sat down, she launched into what was clearly a prepared speech about Emily's melancholy, how she was dying of the anguish of not being able to have children. No, how are you? No acknowledgement of their prior actions, just an immediate, laser focus on Emily's misery. My mother pushed a business card across the table. The doctors say this is her last chance, she said. According to one fertility expert, you two are a fantastic fit. They are able to keep a careful eye on your cardiac health. I brought up the fact that my own doctors, who have known my medical history for years, have expressly forbidden me from getting pregnant again. She dismissed it as if it were a minor annoyance. Doctors are constantly too cautious, she scoffed. According to Emily's specialist, the risks are controllable. The discussion took an even more sinister turn when Mom began discussing family legacy and how Emily should be given more genetic inheritance than I did. After all, she said, I've heard the same arguments about my being a flawed child my entire life. As I got up to leave, she replied, I should have known you'd be difficult about this. Emily has always made you envious. This is your opportunity to at last take action for the family. As I walked out of the cafe, I felt an odd sense of ease. For the first time, I saw my mother clearly. Not as a parent who didn't love me enough, but as someone who never truly saw me as a person, only a tool to be used for Emily's gain. On the way home, Greg asked how it went. I told him about my mother's chilling remarks about family legacy and her casual dismissal of my health concerns. After a period of silence, he said, You know what? They're not worthy of you. They never were. He is absolutely right. They are unworthy of me, my forgiveness, or another opportunity to harm me. I gave my mother one last message. I won't put myself in danger or leave my child an orphan because of Emily's wishes. We will not be talking about it again. Don't get in touch with me again. Tomorrow I'm going to change my number. Sometimes, quitting the game completely is the only way to win. A week after that cafe incident with my mother, my father began sending increasingly threatening messages from various temporary phones. The most recent one chilled me to the bone. Your mother is devastated. Emily is in pieces. You have given us no other option. Even if we didn't want to do this, there are repercussions for actions. Then my grandmother called, her voice trembling. I heard your parents conversing with an attorney, she whispered. They're looking for legal means to compel you to do this. They may use laws pertaining to family obligations and medical rights. They made reference to court orders and medical evaluations. Evidently, they had convinced themselves that Emily's fertility specialist's opinion could somehow override my own doctor's, that they could contest my medical records by proving my reluctance wasn't due to valid medical concerns, but rather a logical family resentment. My grandmother also disclosed something surprising. Emily's 46-year-old husband is genuinely opposed to their plan. He believes that risking someone's life for this is crazy, but Emily and my parents have essentially cut him off from the conversation. At least that family has one sensible member. I immediately called my doctor's office and asked them to implement additional security measures to lock down my medical records. Then I got in touch with 3 different family law firms. The first two expressed sympathy, but stated they'd have to research this peculiar circumstance. But the third one was exactly what we needed. When the lawyer heard the whole scenario, she became enraged. "They cannot legally compel you to serve as a surrogate," she asserted. "It would be considered reproductive coercion and would not be tolerated by any court. However, we must take the initiative." She's now assisting us with creating cease and desist letters and preparing the necessary papers for a restraining order. Additionally, we are recording every message, phone call, and contact attempt. According to the attorney, if we require legal protection in the future, we must establish a distinct pattern of harassment. The best part? Most of our legal expenditures are covered by Greg's company's excellent legal insurance plan. Even if it weren't, he stated last night, "I would sell my car if I had to. Your safety is worth everything we have." The most bizarre aspect of it all is that they still act as though they are the victims, and I'm the one who is acting irrationally. As if compelling someone to put their life in danger is some sort of admirable sacrifice. My mother reportedly informed my grandma that sometimes love means making difficult choices for the family. I'm exhausted, so incredibly exhausted, but I'm no longer scared. Let them play their games and try their legal threats. Truth, the law, and real medical proof are all on my side. And above all, I am supported by individuals who sincerely care about my life and welfare. The legal threats began 2 weeks ago, and now my whole extended family is involved in this nightmare. My aunt from Texas called yesterday, sobbing about having to see Emily endure yet another unsuccessful IVF effort. Apparently, she'd just been to a family get-together I was, of course, not invited to. The most unsettling aspect? My parents have entirely altered the story. My cousins claim that they're telling everyone I'm just using my heart ailment as an excuse because it has significantly improved. They've even implied that I'm declining because I want to see Emily suffer, because I'm envious of her success. But what truly caught me off guard were the cryptic Facebook postings that my mother's sisters had begun sharing about selfish family members and the value of sacrifice for family. Everyone in the family knows who they're referring to, even though they aren't specifically addressing me. I've received messages from some distant relatives I haven't seen since I was a child, expressing their disappointment with my decisions. My cousin Sarah, 39, is the one bright spot in all of this. She personally contacted me to express her anger with everyone's actions. "I recall how they treated you as a child," she wrote. "They're being crazy. Don't let them guilt you into this." At the next family get-together, she even volunteered to talk about her personal encounters with my parents' partiality. These flying monkeys are also unaware that just last night, Emily's husband spoke with Greg in secret. He fears that because of all this harassment, Emily and my parents will end up in serious legal hot water. He has attempted to reason with them, but they aren't listening to anyone, so focused are they on achieving their goals. I've already made up my mind. Last night, I wrote a mass email to my entire extended family. It contained only the medical facts about my heart problem, along with a statement from my cardiologist on the risks of getting pregnant again. Without any drama or accusations, I concluded it by saying that my lawyer would handle any further harassment and that I would no longer discuss surrogacy. Then, with the exception of my grandparents and cousin Sarah, I blocked every member of my family. Greg assisted me in creating new social media profiles for close friends only, using a different identity. It's strangely freeing, but it feels like entering witness protection. Yesterday, my youngster questioned me about why we no longer see Grandma and Grandpa. I told him that sometimes we have to avoid individuals who don't respect our limits, even if they are family, even if it breaks my heart. After giving it some consideration, he remarked, "Like when Tommy at school doesn't stop when I say no? Children are more capable of understanding than we realize." I've learned from this whole experience that my true family isn't always the folks with whom I share DNA. It's the people who love me without conditions, who respect my right to life, and who cherish my presence above and beyond what I can do for others. It's been a month since I sent out that bulk email to the extended family. The result was different from what I had dreaded, yet it was precisely what you would expect. Genuine peace. Something I've never experienced before, thanks to my new phone number and secret social media profile. Through my grandma, I heard what is likely to be my mother's final message to me. "You've let this family down for the last time. You put your self-interest ahead of Emily's happiness. You shouldn't anticipate being welcomed back." Oddly, I felt a tremendous sense of comfort instead of pain as I read those words. What I'd understood all along, that my sole worth was what I could do for Emily, was now expressed aloud. This morning, my lawyer called to let me know that Emily was contacted by her fertility clinic. They wanted to make it clear that they had never authorized surrogacy agreements involving a person with my medical background. It seems that neither Emily nor my parents had ever brought up my cardiac ailment. This only serves to highlight their breathtaking lack of concern for my well-being. The most unexpected result of all this? No more worrying about family get-togethers, no dread when my phone rings, no persistent feelings of inadequacy. I'm sleeping better than I have in years. Greg noticed too, saying, I'm laughing more freely and smiling more. In this brand new, drama-free setting, our youngster is flourishing. We began Sunday board game nights as a new family tradition. Last weekend, as I sat there and watched him laugh with Greg, I had a profound realization. This is how family should feel, secure, affectionate, and welcoming. Sometimes my grandmother comes to visit, but she always makes sure my folks are unaware. Last time, she brought old pictures of me as a baby that I had never seen before. As I looked at them, I saw a contented little girl who had no idea that she would spend decades attempting to win affection that ought to have been given without conditions. I am finally providing the protection that little child needed from those who never valued her. She deserved better. I want to express my gratitude to everyone who helped me along the way. Your remarks made it clearer to me that defending myself was a matter of survival rather than selfishness. You showed me that a true family doesn't require you to sacrifice yourself for them. If you're wondering whether it's wrong to shield oneself from a toxic family, the answer is an emphatic no. Your limits are legitimate, your health is important, and your life has worth. Walking away from folks who don't love you enough can sometimes be the bravest thing you can do. Since there is really nothing else to say, I will no longer be updating the story. I've closed the chapter on my dysfunctional family. With the family I've chosen, the ones who genuinely want me to live, it's time to concentrate on writing fresh, healthier chapters. But hold on. Shortly after I posted this update, two surprising events occurred. First, my lawyer received a legal letter from Emily's fertility clinic. As it turns out, my parents tried to conceal my heart ailment by falsifying my medical records. A report regarding this unlawful effort at medical fraud is already being filed by the clinic. The second shockwave? Emily's husband had had enough. In the family group chat, he revealed how my parents and Emily had conspired to conceal my illness from the doctors. He disclosed that Emily was aware of my near-death experience while I was pregnant, but she had purposefully kept it a secret from everyone. The response from the extended family was prompt. Suddenly, the aunts and cousins who had been disparaging me stopped talking. My Texas aunt apologized over the phone, claiming she was unaware of the effort at medical fraud. Since then, a number of family members have stopped communicating with my parents and Emily, describing their behavior as completely illegal. Last week, Emily's husband filed for divorce because he couldn't stand being married to someone who would commit fraud and endanger her sister's life. My parents' flawless story about their precious child was ultimately shattered by this. Emily and my parents have been banned from all of the medical facilities that are associated with the reproductive clinic. According to my attorney, they might be subject to severe legal repercussions for their effort at medical fraud. Seeing their flawless facade fall apart after their own deeds were exposed feels like poetic justice, even though I never sought retribution. All I wanted was to be left alone. You are truly set free by the truth. For those who wanted an update on the repercussions, let me say that sometimes people who spend their entire life controlling other people end up controlling themselves. Emily and my parents did this to themselves. I'm simply living my best life with folks who genuinely appreciate me, while keeping a safe distance. Reddit, thank you. Your assistance has been amazing along our journey. When I initially wrote about the demand for surrogacy, I was overcome with self-doubt and remorse. Your remarks gave me strength and demonstrated to me that true family is about more than just blood. It's about love and respect. This community demonstrated that strangers can occasionally offer greater support than one's parents. I will always be appreciative of the way you gave me freedom and a voice. Thank you for watching. Have you ever experienced a betrayal so profound that it shattered your entire perception of family, forcing you to choose your own well-being over blood ties? Tell me your story in the comments below. I truly want to hear what you think.